This is Boxing Tickets, and we are delighted to be joined once again with the machine, Dave Ryan. First of all, Dave, happy New Year to you. Obviously, it's been a while since we've spoke. I guess the good news, we obviously have an interviews, fight news. Obviously, you're ready. Obviously, you're ready. Obviously, a month tomorrow, you're obviously back in action in Belfast, but you're probably more relieved than anybody to be back training and getting back ready for a fight again.
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted to be back training. I know I miss Christmas and all that, but I don't. All I do is train. Like that's my hobby is to train and all that side. So I can train 2 3 times a day, and I'm delighted. That's my happy hormone, and I'm delighted with that. So I'm glad to be back, and many happy returns with the old New Year and all that.
New year, new me.
Well, the same old me, but I'm back.
Obviously, with the injury, was it an elbow injury? Was it a hand injury? What was the injury you had, and how did you pick it up?
So I was when was it? I actually hurt my hand in April in the Galway show.
Hmm.
I had a ruptured tendon in my hand, and I think it was the second or third round I hurt it. I didn't think too much of it, and then for the Cork fight, it was a couple of weeks after it. I actually had zero sparring pads, very little actual boxing going into the fight. So it was just literally making weight and all that, which what I could do was very little. So shadow boxing was my main thing. Then I picked up a small another injury, a niggly little one, and it kind of affected my running. So I was kind of it was a rough camp to have. And then the gloves in the Cork show, my hand went again with them. Now my hand wasn't great going into the fight, but it made it a lot worse. And then from the Cork fight on, it was literally zero punching for a couple of weeks. I got it reset, and then I went and sparred again, and the same thing happened. So it was just literally rest again. Now I'd like to say it's 100% healed, but sometimes when I'm training, I still have that fear of throwing it. It was, there were some days I was sparring before the Cork show. I jump in, started sparring, threw a couple of jabs, threw one solid jab, and the pain, I was like, wow, this is bad. So I jumped out of the ring. I was like, I'm just going to leave it. And that was the kind of time where I was like, I need to rest this. And then I just kind of started coaching more and just resting. So that was my escape kind of, I was still out of the house. I was still in the gym. So I didn't change too much my routine. Instead of training myself, I was training others.
For you, obviously, and it, I've come to know you, obviously, in your time as a pro and everything else, you're dedicated to the sport, like you live and breathe, training and fighting and everything else. Since obviously June been not, like what's it been like for your missus in the house with obviously you not being able to fight and just be able to watch and everything else. I'm sure you've been a nightmare to live with the last few months.
I believe it. I believe it. It's just different because like I'm watching all these guys train and getting on all these big shows where I know I could have been on these. I could have been on training hard. Like I could have, geez, I could have finished the year as 5 6 or even more. I hurt myself in April, May, June. So I've been out of the ring since June. So I could have had at least 5 or 6 more fights. Fingers crossed I could have, but I could have been a lot further in my career if I didn't get injured. But I'd say it was a nightmare to live with.
they
No,
they'll they'll always say we're a nightmare to live with regardless. Like as you sort of point out, it's sort of not a fight since June and Cork, but I guess sometimes, and as I sort of said to you off camera before we started, sometimes rest and recovery because if Ian Gaughran rings you and goes, I've got a fight date for you, you don't even care when it is, who it is, what it is, you're going to say yes. So
yes.
sometimes that wee bit of rest can do the world of good, like even through what 4 fights in 8 months. So, you know,
Yeah.
I think it's about 4 fights in 8 months. So, like, if you had kept going at that, where you're, yes, it's good to have fights, but long term, probably what's it going to do, particularly
Yeah,
with
it
your
wasn't going
hands
to be
and
good.
elbows and everything else?
Yeah, it wasn't going to be good. But like I would have been used to, as an amateur kickboxer, I would have been used to fighting like every weekend. So that's how I was kind of hoping to get as many as I could in such a short space of time. But realistically, it was probably better than what happened. Just kind of pull me back a small bit, keep my feet grounded, and kind of develop a small bit more too. So I'm kind of glad. I'm glad of the injury, but not glad of it. In a way, kind of pull me back and keep me grounded a small bit more, and kind of train a bit smarter. Kind of it helped me kind of develop that kind of. And I could go to the gym 6 o'clock in the morning and go for a run after it, go boxing straight away, and then go to work. And my day is done. But realistically, that's not good for you. Do you know, it's not. But now I kind of know that.
It's pretty much putting everything into a small time, and then then you wonder why you're tired. You wonder why you're out not eating in the right way. It's sort of trying to find that good balance
Yes.
sometimes.
Yeah, of
Um,
course, 100%.
Obviously, a month tomorrow, as I was saying, you're obviously back in action. Obviously, Belfast has been like a second home to you. Obviously, you had your debut in Belfast in the Gurwood, and obviously you fought in the Europa last February as well. So you're obviously returning to a sort of place that's becoming like second nature to you. Back in a 6 rounder as well, I believe. So you're sort of not sort of. Sometimes people go have a bit of a layoff and come back with an easy 4 rounder. You and the
No,
sort
no.
of you probably maybe asking for an 8 rounder, knowing you.
I was actually. I was hoping for an 8 rounder, but look, I'll take what's available and what happens. Shaun and Ian reckons a 6 rounder would be good. I can work on things. I would love an 8 rounder, but there's no point jumping the gun again, you know. So that's what happens. I would have had to up my training a bit more if I was going for an 8 rounder. 6 is fine.
And obviously, how do you find it? Say this is your fifth pro fight. Obviously, you're going to be third in Belfast. How do you find obviously quite a bit away from home and things like that as well? How do you obviously find the sort of travel to Belfast for fighting? Obviously, having to ask people to buy tickets to travel and things like that. Is it just something you become used to? It you take fights where you get them, and if people want to come and support, you understand whether they can come or not.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I like fighting in Belfast. It's a different atmosphere. Like, you know, like time I fought in Cork, it was a bit different. Wasn't what I was used to from the previous shows. So like it's easier to deal with. It's easier to go that route and fight in Belfast. You know, they're good shows. You know, you can't ask for anything more. It's a very good setup. You're spoiled up there. It's very good. It's a great fighting city. So why not fight up there? You know, and my the guys that come with me watch all my fights. They don't mind coming. You know, so it's very good. I've got very good friends that come and support every fight. There's some guys that haven't missed one of them yet.
It's I guess sometimes it's for other people they see it as a weekend away. It's an excuse to get away. It's
Yeah,
an
of
excuse to get out of
course.
the environment they're in. So and what better way when their friends and everything else can come and support you, have a night out in Belfast, and then obviously come back to their normal sort of lives afterwards.
Of course, of course. But like Belfast is it's not the furthest away. Like we could been going on a plane, like you know, so like you'd prefer to bring them to Belfast than abroad. So it's that bit easier.
I'm just obviously just looking at the signal there. It seems to be jumping about a wee bit. So apologies for anybody that sort of experience a bit of turbulence. It just seems to sometimes with Zoom. I guess obviously it wouldn't be right if obviously I wasn't to mention obviously, I guess when we sort of talk back there and obviously your injury and everything else, it's sort of one of them things you're sort of looking at where you're seeing Shannon Kelly obviously fighting for obviously the Celtic title, I think
Yeah,
about a week or so before you. Are you sort of looking at that and going, if I had a fight, I could have been fighting for the Celtic title now? Is that what's sort of
of
annoying you more
course,
than anything?
of course, yeah. We're both in the same position. Like you know, he was coming off an injury. I got injured. You know, so we're both in the same. We were both in the same boat. Like it's just boxing. You're always going to pick up something. But we were scheduled to fight. I got injured. He was coming off an injury before it. I think his shoulder done. So like we were both in the same boat. It's a fantastic fight. We had a fantastic spar the last time we sparred. So it will make a very good fight for us down the line. I'm hoping he comes through it. Or if he doesn't, I'll fight the other guy. Do you know, it makes no sense or it makes no difference who I fight. But I'm hoping Senan wins it because it'd be a lovely Irish dust up.
I knew that obviously even before I asked anything to do with that, like I know what you're like. And you've said in interviews before, I'll fight anyone. You don't care. You want to get them progression fights. And I know Jay
Yeah,
Burns sort of kicked off it. Some people had turned down the fight. But obviously we know that obviously your name's not going to be linked that in any way. If you were turned down the fight, you probably have to have two broken legs.
two broken legs isn't the word. uh, you know, I fought in in the Cork show, going in injured, no sparring, very little pad. I've no pad work. I had two spars going into the Cork show. So, I had a dangerous opponent there too, coming off 2 knockout wins. So I don't care if I can get in and fight, I will fight. It makes no difference who it is. But I would have loved it, but we will get it on down the line.
Obviously, I'll probably be speaking to Senan obviously on Friday. They're obviously their press conference, and no doubt, obviously, I know what he's like as well. That he'll not probably look past as obviously his next opponent, but I'm sure whether that's I could end up being made for the Celtic title afterwards, or even the Irish title. Obviously, the stipulations and whether both opponents have to have 48 rounders, so I'm not sure on that.
That's why I was hoping for an 8-rounder, because then it sets both of us up for a 10-rounder for the Irish title. But if that doesn't work, the Celtic is fine. Now, if you were going to fight for either and you want to fight for the Irish title, it makes that bit more sense. But look, it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Either one is fine with me.
Is it hard? Is it hard for Shaun and Ian to sort of, when somebody's so positive like yourself, or they just want to get into things, is it hard for them to hold you back sort of and go, like Shaun's job and Ian's job sort of sometimes to guide you in the right ways when you're so positive and so outgoing and I'll fight anyone, I don't care. Do you make it hard work for them in that regard, or is it just everything plain sailing?
I hope it's plain sailing. But look, whatever they tell me, I just do. So it makes no difference. They say I gotta do this, I gotta do it, I will. They say I'm fighting. I've actually told Dean stop sending me who I'm fighting. He's like, oh, this guy you're fighting. I don't really care. Just I'll get in the ring, I'll do the weigh in. That's it. I know who I'm fighting. Then it makes no difference who I'm in the ring with whatsoever. He can do the same I can do. We've got 2 hands, 2 legs. He's got the same. So
it's something I guess you've been used to kickboxing and everything else. It's when you're used to fighting every weekend and opponents can change everything else. You've that fight experience. Yes, you've only 4 fights as a pro so far, but you're used to that obviously experience and everything else. That as you say, you've 2 arms, you've 2 legs. You come up with a game plan maybe during the fight, and obviously that's what Shaun's job's there for. Sometimes is they guide you in the right way. But whenever you get that hunger and the drive, what's to stop you?
there's nothing stopping me. Like I work very hard in the gym, constant. There's no I'll have a light session today. Every time I'm training, it's 100%. So like every session, I know I'm improving. So all these good fights, they're gonna make me better too. So what have I to lose?
Obviously, when you get through, obviously your February fight, let's say there's no opponent confirmed as yet, and obviously I'm sure Mark Dunlop will have that up soon, hopefully. Do you see that as the next step straight afterwards, and it's straight into a title fight, whether it's Senan or obviously whether it's the opponent? Do you see that as the next gradual step for you, is into a title fight straight after?
Hopefully. But if not, there's a couple of other Irish guys too. So like if that doesn't work, or if Senna comes through safe, no injuries, or I get no injuries, that's what we're hoping for first. No one gets injured in their next fight or fight after that. But yeah, look, why not? We've nothing to lose. We're both undefeated. You know.
I guess when you see so much domestic action, and obviously your stablemate, and obviously Jamie Morrissey's been involved in quite a lot of domestic fights,
Yeah.
It sets a trend for the rest. And obviously, he came across with no experience whatsoever, obviously Muay Thai and everything else. When you're seeing obviously him fighting for, Irish titles, Celtic titles, fighting the Katie Taylor card, you want to obviously aspire to be at as well. You want to get your opportunities to showcase your talents on the biggest stage possible.
Of course, of course. It was killing me being injured for that the last show. I was like, take this. But injuries happen. These things do happen, but it will be coming back. There's a lot more big shows coming to Ireland, so hopefully I'll get one of them eventually. And that's it. I'll go from there.
I guess when we're seeing, there's already 3 cards confirmed this year, and I think as I posted the other day, it looks like there's another 6 potentially between now and April. That's good. That's music to your ears as a professional boxer, isn't it? Whenever you see so much cards happening, there's opportunities for title fights. There's opportunities to fight. The more fight cards there is in Ireland, it makes it perfect for you, doesn't it?
Of course, of course. For the likes of Eddie Hearn wanting to come to Limerick, I'm 5 minutes from Limerick. Hopefully that comes to light, because that would be fantastic for the town. There's some fantastic boxers. There's Paddy, myself, Jamie, Edward, Graham. There's a couple of other fantastic boxers here too. So like, we could have a fantastic show. Like, Belfast is a fantastic city for fighting. So is Limerick. You know, so hopefully that comes to light down the line. If it doesn't, you know, we won't lose sleep either.
I know Eddie mentioned it obviously in an interview to us in December, obviously about having, like a next gen card for Paddy.
Yeah.
Obviously Paddy's fighting now in Belfast here next week. But hopefully, as I say, and I'll hopefully get talking to Eddie next week in an interview and ask is the plans, is it just sort of hearsay, it's sort of it was talking in jest, or is he actually going to plan to come to Limerick? Like something I've campaigned sort of with Graham and things like that before, getting a fight card in Limerick. Like it's been ages since there's been a fight card there, and obviously have been massive for Limerick. Obviously, so much talent that's there, and so much talent in the amateurs and stuff as well. And Jim Donovan's turning over as well. So there's a lot more talent to come there. Limerick needs a fight card to obviously showcase what it has.
Of course, of course. There's some fantastic boxers. You have Jim, you have Keen Hederman, you have Lee Reeves, you've got Paddy, you've Edward, Graham, myself, Jamie. There's a show done itself, like, so hopefully something happens. It would be amazing.
Definitely would. And where, obviously, just finally then, obviously, where do you sort of set goals of 2024? I know when obviously I spoke to Ian last week, he was sort of saying he's hoping for a really good year for the stable. Are you just hoping to be as active as possible, maybe getting 4 or 6 fights within the year?
Yeah, I'm very hopeful for it. Just no injuries. That's what I'm hoping for. That is my main goal for this year. No injuries. No stupid things, and learn as much as I can this year, and get the feet down.
And obviously on the 17th of February, then obviously what can we see? Obviously different. Obviously with the rest, we're going to see an even more supercharged Dave Ryan in the ring. What are we going to see come fight night in the Europa Hotel?
You're probably going to see the best version of me. Be a lot more patient. Look, I've been looking back at my fights recently, and I've rushed an awful lot. I know it doesn't look, but you know yourself when you're doing stuff and you're rushing things. But I've just started to be a bit more patient. So that's what I'm hoping. Just box clever this time. Every time I box, and like all my mates that I train with, they're like, just box and be patient. I can box, I can counterpunch. I haven't done any of that yet. I haven't needed to. So I'm hoping I'm fighting somebody that wants to fight. I've had my last fight was a tough one. The fight before that, but the last year when I fought in February, I had a punch bag. I don't want a punch bag. I want a good test. So the better the test, the better I show and display stuff. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Definitely. Well, listen, obviously all the very best of luck over the next couple of weeks in camp. And obviously we'll see you come fight week in Belfast on the 17th of February.
Thanks a million, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, Dave. Not a problem. Cheers.
Thanks.
Leave you soon. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.